first ever Breaking Bots, and we're very lucky to kick it off with Ali and Nicolle, who I'll let introduce themselves in a second. What is Breaking Bots? I'll give you the quick rundown. A couple of weeks ago, we were at the CDI festival, and we were playing tic-tac-toe, breaking a bot without knowing it with Ali and Nicolle. And Nicolle said, hey, breaking bots is fundamental conversation design, right? And I think a lot of times we think about our design work as adding, optimizing, right? Always stacking. But sometimes it pays to go break your own bot, break someone else's bot, and learn. It's not about just saying what's wrong with it, but it's about saying, hey, what can I learn? What can I bring into my experience? And we're very lucky to have Ali and Nicolle to do that for us today, specifically looking at the Nike bot. So Ali, let me throw it over to you to kick off introductions, and then we can kind of get started with looking at Nike.
Sure. So I'm Ali. I'm a conversation designer at one of Australia's largest retailers. I've been a conversation designer for maybe 4 years now. So I kind of just fell into it by accident. I was originally a copywriter, so I'm sure a lot of you have the same thing too. And yeah, what I do is I do a lot of end-to-end automated journeys. So when it comes to refunds, track my order, etc. So Nike is an interesting use case because I work for another retailer. So I'm excited to dive in. Nicolle?
Yeah. My name is Nicolle Merrill, and I'm a senior conversation designer at Intuit. And I work mostly on financial accounting and payments products. This is about going into my 5th year of doing this. And I actually got my break in conversation design because I was breaking bots. Specifically, I was looking at interview chatbots because I had a background in HR and career coaching. And I was like, surely a bot cannot interview people. And it turns out that they can. And I wanted to understand that. So I went around trying to break all the interview bots I could get my hands on. And then I would write about the experience. And so when it came time to get the job, I said, hey, did you know I've been breaking the bots of your competitors and I have some opinions. So it was really helpful.
Yeah, there's no better way to show off, right? Like that than to actually go break it. Yeah.
Well, on that note, just real quick, when people ask me how to get a job in conversation design, because it can be quite a lean industry and hard to get a job, I say, because I don't have a portfolio, I said, just redesign a bot how you would think and put that on your portfolio. So yeah, hot tip.
I love that.
Yeah.
Before I fully turn it over to you guys, if you're in the attendee pool, feel free to use the message Q&A or the chat. Drop your questions as we go through the Nike experience and they lead. Like drop what you think should be changed. What jump with the two of Ali and Nicolle and let's have some fun breaking and designing. So I'll toss it over to you guys and yeah, excited to jump in.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So I have got the Nike Australia website up. It's the same for the US, by the way. You guys can see? Yeah? Mm-hmm. So first off, one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to any big retailer is not being able to get to the bot at the home or landing page, right? So Nike, there's a lot going on, but there's no little pop-in avatar coming up saying, whatever, help me. So here with Nike, what we found, it's kind of buried the bot. So if you go into the contact us page, which is also another pet peeve, is just keeping the bot on the contact us page. And then here, if you scroll to the bottom, you've got a little icon that says, doesn't say anything. It just says 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't say chatbot, live agent, virtual assistant, nothing, just a chat icon. So from an accessibility point of view as well, that's not very good. So if I open it up then, again, not very intuitive. I have to enter my name, my email. I'm just going to go fake@fakeemail.com.
And Ali, can you open that screen? Because I think that one didn't pop up on your computer.
Oh, sure. All good. Can you see? I might have to reshare it. Can you see it? No. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. One second.
Problem.
Okay. Cool. All right. So this is what popped up when essentially I said chat. So I had to enter my name and my email into this kind of thing. It's a form, I guess, before I can speak to a bot. And then we've got some options here. Track your order, track a return refund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know, Nicolle, I don't know what you think, but usually rather than have a form when a bot pops up, the bot should kind of be able to tell you what it does, introduce yourself, etc. Right?
Yeah, I was actually quite confused by this part. I was like, wait, am I doing live chat or am I doing a chat bot?
Yeah.
And come to find out on the US hours, there you can't get a chat bot between the hours of 4 a.m. and 11 p.m. So I was filling this out thinking maybe it could be a bot. And then I actually ended up with a live person, which I verified by asking, are you a bot? And they said, no, I'm very much a human. So it was very just overall confusing. What are we doing here? And also, I don't want to give you information. I don't want to give it right away. Like,
exactly. I mean, why do I need to give the bot? For me personally, if I'm going to give the bot my name, it's usually if I'm going to be transferred to an agent after speaking to the bot, or given the option to be transferred, and then I give my name. I don't know how everyone else thinks. So here we've got a few options. You can track your order, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that Nicolle and I have both deep dived into that seems a little bit off for my liking. So I'm just going to start with track my order, right? Again, it's kind of a bit weird here because it says, please do not refresh or hit because you could be in queue, but it's a virtual assistant. So I don't know if I'm in queue or not. Anyway, so here, there's not really any welcome message. I'm happy to help find your order status. I mean, Nicolle, maybe you could speak to what do you think about welcome messages, but this is just a bit weird because
like we know we're going to deal with a bot, but like let's perk it up a little bit, right? Hey, I'm happy to help you. Like this is, there's a space here to really invite the user to build trust, to let them indicate that like I'm here for a lot of things, right? I can deal with this task, but I'm here to support you. And really, it's just like, okay, you've clicked a button, and this is the result, right? It doesn't feel conversational. It feels like a UI that has words in it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And for me, when it comes to tracking an order, like I'm gonna go into a little bit here about the way they capture all the details, right? I mean, I don't know if it's the same in the US or Canada where people are, but when you want to track an order, you only just need the order number, right? Because that's publicly available information, because in that way you can get where an order is. But here they're asking for my email address if I use this one. And if I say no, I used a different one, I'm going to say they asked what email address did I use, and I'm going to fall back here as well. So here, again, it went to a fallback because I gave a no match response, and the assistant said, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you try asking that in a different way?" And then it went straight back to the original prompt. No problem. What email address did you use? So in the fallback here, it's quite jarring. It's almost just reintroduced what it said initially. So it's just really not flowy, right?
No, not at all, right?
Yeah.
It could have easily just, and why it seems like we've got two fallbacks almost. It's like, why don't you try saying it a different way? But also, what email address did you use? So that's confusing. Which one am I supposed to answer? They're telling us you can get help by typing help, which at this point, if you've ever read your conversational data, we all know how to get help. You just say agent help, things like that. So I think it's a little redundant to say that. This is, you could easily just capture the data again. You could reprompt and say, hey, I didn't catch that. What's your email address?
That's right.
And very simple solution.
Yeah. And like usually when it comes to like some fallback strategy or whatever, like the way that I've often done it is that you have like two sets of fallbacks. So customer fallbacks twice, and then you offer the agent transfer. But as you were saying before, you're offering it the first, but also reprompting. It's very confusing.
Right. And if this is your initial experience, what we've had 3 turns here, maybe like we've barely, oh, wow, you better respond.
Got 86 seconds.
Also pushy.
Right.
Okay. I did not know that. I did not get that.
I've never seen that feature ever.
Now I feel panicked as a user, right? Like we all get distracted. I like Daniel's comment about saying help right away may increase your escalations. And in some cases, we're working on bots where we want to decrease that, right? That's why they're here. They're here to give information so they don't have to spend time with agents.
Yeah. I'm going to jump back to that point I said before about capturing capturing details in order to give an order status. So I'm going to give an email, fake email, because that's what they need to give my order status. But then it asks me, should I search for your order using your name, phone number, or order number? But I've just given them my email, right? And ordered in again, I don't know if this is the same in Canada, US, or wherever everyone is, but in Australia, all you need is your order number to track something. That's basically that's public information about where an order is. So why do I need to give my name, which I previously had given when I had entered the chat, my phone number or my order number? Can I just, and there's so many things wrong here. A, should be more assertive. It's asking me what I should track with, which is a bit bizarre.
Right. Why is the bot asking you what it should do? It's very awkward.
And also, why doesn't it just ask for a single point of identification, which is just an order number? I mean, the way I would have it is just ask for the order number and then almost have a chip saying, I don't know my order number, in which case then we would tell customers, A, where to find their order number, or maybe that's where you gather other information. But the order number is probably the best source of truth to track an order, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me, that I found that really, really jarring. So yeah, because it's not like we're authenticating the customer as well, right? Right. Yeah. So it's a bit weird. Is this the first and last name when you? I selected use my name. Is this the first and last name you use when you place the order? Like again, it's just really jarring. It doesn't flow. It's something that could be resolved really quickly in just a 2-turn process, but it's really dragged out and it's quite jarring. So yeah, that was my first initial. When I first did this, I was like, wow, that is interesting.
It's also funny too that we have this UI is really, it looks very old school as well. Like, I've chatted with plenty of bots and this looks like something that's like from 2005, right? That block structure. But why do we have to see Nike virtual assistant every single time, right? Like, I know who I am, right? So it's just it's all over and odd. That's also interesting. So we have a lot of moving parts here, but we're still not that close to our goal. When in fact, we should just be able to say, hey, I need some help. Here's my order number. Here's my phone. And you pull up and you just verify like, oh, great. Ali Pinch. Are these the shoes you ordered? Right? Is this the order you'd like a refund on? Something like that.
Exactly. And that's why authentication is something really, like, for me, it's mind-blowing. Nike has all these, I'm sure they use artificial intelligence to get all their insights, and they've got a bunch of customer data, but they're not using it to their advantage. And they could make processes so intuitive. They could introduce things, like I said, on authentication, where you get the customer to log in, so you can bring up their order details, and you can be like, hey, is this your order, etc. But they don't, and it's really weird. And yeah, I was just exiting the chat to show you other things, but yeah, this thing in itself is problematic. I mean, I like that you can save your chat history. I'll give them that. A lot of bots don't do that. But here, save as a text file or print. I mean, why can't you just have it as a downloadable PDF? I feel like that's probably the way. No?
Also kind of funny that we shifted from, the chat out of the chat to now a classic UI experience with a question with buttons. So just a small note there. I think when you're designing, right, like it's not just the words on the page, but it's how are customers getting in, how are customers exiting, what are their expectations along the way, right? More of, we also, what happens outside the bot, as we saw with kind of that menu form we had to fill out, shapes their expectations as they go into the bot. Yeah. So, and I really haven't seen much on the end like this. So this is actually new to me to see something like that. But it adds a bit, like for me, I'm like, well, that's kind of confusing. Do I need to save it? I don't know. Was there something important in there?
Yeah, I'm just going to get it up again because I exited it. Sorry, give me a sec. But also, for me, you can't really jump between different flows then if you're trying to like ask a different question, because they're kind of setting you in one direction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I want to track my order and then I've got a question about a product, I have to kind of exit the chat. You can't, like, there's no jumping in between, which I think is also really not a great experience, because you want to be able to ask a number of questions often. So I'm going to do this again.
Brian kind of built out and said, why do you need to say you are disconnected and connected? Seems pointless informational status. And it kind of goes to the point of, why are we getting disconnected? I'm kind of curious about that. Like, if you're 27 bot, as it said, right, with that icon, why are we getting disconnected? Because you use even simple plugin bots on websites, right? Like the marketing ones, what is it, like Drift and stuff like that? You're not getting disconnected, right? It sits and waits for you.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting status.
I'm going to go through a couple more because there's a few here that are a bit problematic, and I won't spend too long about it because I want to show you guys how Nicolle and I would redesign it. But I'll start with this one. Should be quick, but track a return/refund. So in my mind, if you're going to track a return or a refund, there's you should be able to essentially, almost like when you track an order with other bots, you should be able to understand how far away your refund is, or get more information on it. So here I'm asking to track my refund. Again, it's also this is all a bit weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Again, it's 2005 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm confirming my email address. I'm going to use a different one. No, I use a different one. I'm making it hard for them. fake@fake2.com.au. Again, should I search for your number, your name, or your order number? I'm just going to go name. Again, they should just be asking me if the details I entered are the correct one, rather than keeping on asking if these are the correct ones. Anyway.
Whoa.
See, yeah, it just kind of like spins out, right?
Yeah, it's like you broke it.
Yeah, it's like I broke it, but it's not giving me a chance to properly.
But yeah, where do we go here?
Yeah, exactly.
You've already said that's the name.
Yeah, it's looping me around, no fault of my own. It's yeah. At least we know.
So you said this is my name. They can't find it, and then they're like, "Are you sure it's your name?" But they don't even say, "Are you sure?" They just repeat it.
Yeah.
So where do you go?
Exactly. Oh, I just found where you can toggle back to the main menu here, which is also not very intuitive. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's go to the main menu.
Oh,
this is bizarre. So I thought I'd be taken back to. I don't know. And then you've got the instant transfer button there. I'm just trying to get back to the beginning.
Also, interesting language choice. Interesting language choice there. This has very formulaic, very like, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just standard language. There's nothing great about it. And then all of a sudden they've got a button that says, "What's up with my order?" And it's like, that is not consistent. Well, yeah, because someone I saw in the comments said, Daniel said that there's so much potential with Nike's, because Nike's tone of voice, there's so much charisma, etc. But this is just almost like it is a robot from 2005. So it's strange. Anyway, I'm gonna go again. So Brian brings up a point about it has a bot, it should be in place. Nike virtual agent is typing. Yeah, that keeps popping up.
Yeah, it's weird. All right, so this is the final one. Ask about a product. This is the one that kind of blew my brain a little bit more. So I'm going to ask about a product. Now, first things first, working in retail and designing journeys, I think the thing you need to understand is what's the customer's intent, why they want to ask about a product. They probably want to see if it's in stock online or in the area closest to them. They're not really interested in finding a product. There's an intent about like finding the product on the website. Like there's an intent about it because they want it for themselves. So here, the UI copy, like the buttons are a bit problematic. Looking for a new product, question about a no product. By new product, do you mean like, I don't know, like a product that I don't know about yet and I want like some sort of customization? Or am I like looking for you to tell me like what's the latest sneaker I can get? Like it's just really unclear. And then question about a known product. So I assume this means, do you have a question about like stock when it comes to products that already exist that you know about? Again, not very intuitive.
Also, why are we in title case?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go question about a known product, right? What product? again, the plural. I'm going to say Nike Dunks, right? Great, thanks for that information. And I'm going to transfer you to a teammate.
Oh
So
man.
the least you could have done is to give me the link to the product on the website, because that's probably one of Nike's most in-demand products at the moment, the Dunks. You could have just, there's obviously no training whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like there's no entities to recognize products, etc. So the least you could have done is made some sort of product entity or had some sort of training and linked me to the Dunks on the website. That's like as a minimum, that's what a journey should be. It's really
even let's say
bizarre.
they didn't have them, which is kind of odd. Show me some other shoes. Why? You could have shown me different shoes. I mean, not that they wouldn't have these, but like there are multiple opportunities here to engage, to get closer to the intent.
That's right.
And Nike's got such visual materials, right? So like being able to put those in here, like we're not even using media in here. And so all in all, I just feel really disappointed.
Yeah. And to Victor's point as well, no visual/photos too. Whenever I design a product finder journey, there's always some carousel or some card or whatever that shows the product image and also allows you to go to the product page as well. But here it's just, I mean, for me, it seems like the biggest waste of money to transfer to a teammate that Nike's probably paying, an actual human, in which you could just solve this problem yourself very easily.
Yeah.
So with all the millions of dollars that Nike has, so it just kind of blows my brain a little bit. Anyway, I guess we should take it to the canvas now to show we've done enough whinging. Now I guess it's time to show how, get our hands dirty and show how we'd actually do it ourselves. So Nicolle, I will get you to share your canvas first, because you're probably going to show us all the welcome design stuff that you would do. Is that all good?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll stop sharing.
I'm having, let's see.
And while Nicolle brings that up, I think in general, looking at the chat, it all comes down to just like missed opportunity, right? For this team.
Yeah.
The data exists. We know that the great product exists. It's just opportunity and thoughtful design behind this.
So I really liked, this kind of idea of, rebuilding the bot and stuff like that. I will say that like on things like welcome, there is lots of opportunity, right? There's a chance to guide users. There's a chance to inform them about what the bot does. There's a chance to, show your brand name, right? Talk and set the style, set the tone. There's a lot going on. And, when you think about your bot, you've got the welcome and your fallback, what we've talked about. And these are kind of like bookends in your experience, right? You're kicking things off, and then you're also helping people if they're not getting what they want. And so they're pretty fundamental pieces to your bot. And a lot of times it takes a lot of experimenting and iteration to get them right. So what I'm kind of curious about today is, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just share, what we could do, but I'm actually going to ask for feedback from the audience and kind of see if we can co-create something here together. I love the generation options here in Voiceflow because it helps me think, and I've already been through, multiple meetings today. So my writing, I don't feel like writing as much today. So I'm going to use the generate feature, and I'm going to say something like, ideally, I'd love to use their name. I'd love this to be authenticated, but let's just say, hey there, what can I help with today? Actually, I'm Nike's virtual assistant. So now we don't even need to pretend, we've queued them and said, look, we are an assistant, we're a bot. And now I don't have to repeat Nike's virtual assistant on every single interaction. I'm going to generate up to 5 variants. I'm going to see what's going on. How can I help you today? Good day. I mean, very cheery. Right. And I like some of these. What can I do for you today? How can I help? I could even shorten it, say, how can I help? Things like that. So you have a variety of things here. I'm actually going to take off today because I like things that are short. I'm going to generate. Can I help you? Oops, I only generated one. Let me generate more. All right. So I don't really like that. Is there something I can help you with? Because it's a yes, no. But I'm liking some of these things in here. I'm going to take a different step too. And I'm going to go over to the other generative step where I can query with a prompt so I can get more detailed. So maybe I want to write in the style of a brand. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to generate and I'm going to put it a prompt. Write a welcome message, a fun sports themed welcome message for a retail bot. I'm going to see what it spits out. Okay. That's a little bit too much. Maybe, we could do something like, we don't need you. We're not going to find their passion today, right? We're in customer service today. So maybe I say for a Nike bot. And maybe we take out sports themed and just see what happens. And here's a feature where you can change the response length. That's a little too long for my preference. I like a shorter message length. So I'm just going to cut it in half and I'm going to preview. Oh, look at that. I mean, I really enjoy that. So I really enjoy that. I'll pause here. I'm going to put that in here as my, whoops. Can I copy that? Copy. There we go. And so take out some of these. Whoops. Well, I just generated based on that. Okay, that's not going to work for me, but I think we got to start here. And then I'll add some buttons. Now this is where I kind of want to throw it out to y'all because here I have, kind of a basic welcome message. I'm going to edit this a little bit. I don't need the exclamation points. You have the option of, telling them what you can help with in just text like this, or you could, say, what would you like help with today? And then just offer some buttons, right, to help guide the user. It's a style choice based on kind of what you're thinking in your bot. Are you a text-based bot? Are you more visual-based? Do you like buttons? These are all conversations we have on our team about how to greet the user. So I'll kind of throw it out to y'all. What are you thinking here? Anyone want to share?
Yeah, feel free to drop that in the chat. More closed or button-driven or open prompt are we looking for here?
And of course, you would want to have, if you're going to be offering these things, you would want to have intents trained with latest Nike releases, recommendations. In this case, if we're a customer care bot, we could say, I'm here to help you with what were they? Order statuses, refunds, right? Things like that. So you're really cueing the user on what we might do. I lost my canvas. There we are. I'm driving too fast. Any options? Hot drops, returns, admins. Okay, so I'm seeing Francesca's saying likes it more conversational. I missed the one that just popped up there. Leave the buttons for really want to guide the user. Okay, so a little bit of debate there on this. Yeah, there is a debate. Is it text? Is it buttons? And so on. So let's just keep it here for now and just see where we go. Allie, you want to take over?
Sure, I would love to. I'm just going to share my screen. So, cool. So yeah, I think that you encapsulated what needs to happen at the welcome message. Really clear. And also, I like the suggestions that people have quick reply buttons, but also keep it open so people can write what they want. Almost like you want to just guide people towards certain things that you can do. But I guess
variety, like the variety that we have from the designers, it just goes to show there's not one way to design. Some are a little better, but it does kind of depend on your organization style and the goal that you're trying to achieve. Right.
Absolutely.
Some people want to put things in there that guide people towards specific things and away from others, and buttons can actually reinforce that. So,
yeah. And I think that's a really good segue to what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild both Track My Order and probably the product finder one as well. And when you think about these journeys, you have to think about what's the user's intent, why they're wanting to track their order, why they're wanting to find a product, etc. And I think just the way that it was designed with Nike was just a word vomit, like, oh, like track your order, then like, here's your order status, or I'm going to transfer you to a teammate if you want to know about a product. There's no reason thinking to understanding why, and that's what a lot of research can tell you as well about your customer base, which is important. But I'm going to start with Track My Order. So I don't know if you guys want to put it in the comments why people want to be tracking their order on a retail website. For me personally, I want to track my order if it's late, or I want to track my order if I'm really impatient and I'm waiting for the latest drop to arrive, and when my sneakers are on their way. So holiday season gift checking, that's right. So you got someone's birthday coming up and you ordered something and you're afraid that it won't come in time, etc. So I need them for a trip. Exactly. So I think designing with that in mind, that people want to know exactly where their order is rather than just being here's your order status, is exactly what needs to happen. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how I would design, there's no right way to design it, how I would design the Track My Order intent. So first things first, I'm going to create an intent. I'm going to call it Nike TMO Track My Order. So I'm going to create the intent. So thinking about why the customer needs to track their order, I'm going to create some utterances and I'll generate them because, we live in an age where we can generate things and people can get lazy. So
Plus one.
Track my order. I want to track my order. My order is late. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this a little bit smart as well. Some people who are really prepared, they come to the bot to say track my order, but they put their order number as well into the chat. So that way we don't actually have to ask for the order number. So we make it really smart. So I'm going to create an entity here where customers, an order number entity for customers who give their order number from the outset. So where is my order? And I'm going to create an entity, order number, because you can create that when you're creating an intent. And I'm just going to give some dummy values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the order number. Enter. So I've created an entity that I can use in the training, and entities help us to scrape essential information from what a customer is asking, so we don't have to ask all these things. So where is my order number? Track order number. Cool. All right. I'm going to generate another bunch, and I'm sure all of them will work. Cool. And I want more without the entity. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Oops.
I love this.
Whatever.
Every time.
Yeah.
It does not get old.
Every time. Yeah, it's so good. All right. I'm going to create the intent. Cool. So I created the intent. And first thing I'm going to do is related to that entity thing that I was talking about. There's going to be 2 separate journeys for if a customer mentions their order number from the outset, because we may not have to ask for the order number if they do, or if we need to ask for the order number because the customer's just given us my order is late. So I'm going to create a little bit of logic here. So connect the blocks, name the block because I have to be very neat and tidy. So here, the condition that I'm going to start with, the logic is if the customer has already mentioned the order number. So if the customer has already mentioned order number. So here, I'm going to call to that variable, that entity that I created before, which is order number. And if the order number has any value, meaning as if the customer has already mentioned the order number, then they'll go this way. But if they haven't mentioned the order number, then we'll ask for it. So we'll set the variable, so order number, which I set before, if the order number is empty, meaning that the customer hasn't mentioned it. Please let me know if you guys have any questions or want me to slow down or whatever. I'm happy to take it all. So let's design the happy path. where the customer has already mentioned the order number, which is pretty easy. You say, Nike TMO give status. Okay. So we say, sure, I can see your order is on its way, should be with you. And here I'm going to use variables so we can slot different information in and out depending on the order status. I'm going to create a day variable. So day could be tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Before, I'm going to have a time variable. So we can just slot information in and out before time. And I'm also going to generate responses because I'm lazy. Perfect, fine. I still love this feature. Now that's the happy path. If the customer doesn't give their order number, then we're going to have to ask for it, right? So here, Nike TMO ask order number. Here, we're going to say, okay, before I help, I'll need your order number. Can I grab it, please? And then here, we're going to create some variants because it's nice to have variations in what you say. Can you give me your number? That works. And here I'm going to use that nifty capture step, which I love so much in Voiceflow, which we're going to capture the customer's order number. So here, the customer would give their order number. I haven't put in any fallbacks in here, by the way, because I think it would get a bit too complex and I could just go down a million rabbit holes. So I'm just keeping it real simple. But once I capture their order number, that's when we can give their order status. So as I said before, track my order can be done in a two-step, in basically one turn if the customer is prepared, but track my order can be done in 2 turns. But Nike have seemed to done it in 5. So yeah. So that's what I mean. You don't really need a customer's email or phone number or anything in order to get the customer to get an order status. So yeah, that's
I was gonna
sorry,
say what's
Nicolle,
interesting about that is like on the back end, like what do your design conversations look like when you're starting? You know, you've built this out, you already had something in your head, but like before that, what are the conversations you're having with teams? Because one of the things we start talking about is what data is available. Right. And this is something when we tend to look at conversation design, we talk about what do we say? How do we put a conversation together? But a lot of times when you're working for, you're working on these types of projects, you're also talking about data. What data do we have? When do we how do we access it? Who helps us access that data? And that can really inform what you do in your design. It makes it more powerful. It makes it more personalized. And we see the difference even right here. We haven't even been through seeing this law, in the test format. And we already know you're going to get a better, quicker response than what we saw in Nike, who did not have any of this data.
Yeah, completely. And this is for
conversations look like.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also an unauthenticated journey. If I was going to design an authenticated journey, I don't know if you guys want me to, it'd be super easy. We would just test, build some logic to see if the customer is logged in or if they haven't logged in. If they haven't logged in, then we get them to log in. This is me saying it's easy not being a developer, but from a design point of view, it's not that hard. We get the customer to log in. If they haven't, they say track my order. We bring up their order numbers, or if they've got multiple, and we just say, hey, which order you want to track? Make some buttons, and then we just deliver them the status. You know, it's really not from a design point of view, 10,000 foot view, it's not that difficult. I think simple designs are the best designs in my mind. So, yeah.
How do you make it easy to get your customer to their goal? Like, what's the quickest way to get them what they need? And it's not asking them to decide how they should answer, how the bot should work.
No, that's it. And also, it's thinking about what, as you were saying before, what data points do we need? And how can we simplify that process? And also, when you got data points, you often have to think about security and et cetera. Like we've we always have a battle with security when it comes to certain projects, but
Legal.
for something like this, huh?
Legal as well, sometimes depending on the product you're working on.
Nightmare.
It's kind of these unwritten parts of conversation design is kind of like that collaboration that you're doing. We some of us, depending on your role, you will sit in very collaborative spaces where you're like, you are talking to development about, okay, what is the data? What data can we get internally authenticated? What can't we get? Can we authenticate? And then depending on the type of product you work on, if you're working in, let's say, finance or medical, you may be having conversations with risk and security and legal. So yeah, it's really interesting how those come into play in these conversations.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just conscious of time here. I don't know, Sam, if you think you want me to do a little bit of a product finder or we want to take the Q&A. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I think the live, I can, if the chat has any feedback, but I think like the live build is great because then people are bringing in the Q&A as we go. And if there is any Q&A at the end that we can't get to, we'll be sure to get your feedback offline and send it out via email.
All right, so I guess now I can do the product finder journey for you live IRL. So similarly, I'm going to create an intent called Nike find a product. Now, going back to what I was doing before, when a customer wants to find a product, what do you think their intent is? What do you think their intention is? Why do they want to find a product? You guys can put it in a chat, etc. For me, it's to see if it's in stock in my area. See if it's in stock, or something else that we've found as well. A customer, it's not in stock in one store, but they want to see if it's in stock in another store. So I don't know. That's basically, I think the intent of a product finder is pretty clear. Customers want to find a product in their store or online or get a price. That's right as well. So they want to link to that landing page. We can't, like the bot, it's difficult to give a bot a price, but we can give them the link to the page where they can see the information, right? Okay, so I'm going to say find a product. How do I see if a product is in stock? And again, I'm going to use some nifty entities that I'm going to create. Find product. I'm going to create a product entity. So something that could be there, Dunks, MX 95, Air Force One, we call them sweatpants in the US, sweatpants, we call them trackies. Anyway, so I'm going to create that entity, find a product. How can I see if product is available near me? And I'm also going to create another one, a location entity, because often customers will ask if a product is available in their specific location. Is product available in location? So I'm creating another entity. So I'm just going to make it really simple. Usually what we would do is we would just dump like all the suburbs that are listed in Australia into some sort of, through an API call, but I'm just going to make this really easy. So I'm going to say 3000 is the postcode, or 3066. Okay. Find product in location. Cool. So now I'm just going to generate a bunch. So here, entities are your friend always. That's how I believe things should go when it comes to design. Find a product, where the product sold near me, show me product. Perfect, great. Cool, so similar at the beginning, what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a little bit more logic. So when a customer asks to find a product, there's 4 scenarios in which they could potentially be actually searching for their product. They could be not mentioning any entities, so they could just be blanket saying, find a product. If no entities are mentioned, I'm gonna call on those entities that I just created before. If product is empty, meaning there is nothing in there, or if location is empty. Cool. If a customer only mentions the product but not location, but no location. So we're going to say if product has any value and location is empty. If only location is meant, I'm not going to go into do the different variables. It's taking too much time. If only location is mentioned and no product. If product plus location is mentioned. Now, obviously, this one, the last one, is the happy part because it means you don't have to ask any questions. We can just deliver the product and say it's available in your area. But let's start with the more tedious one first. So if no entities are mentioned, which means we're going to have to ask for the product and the location to create a customized journey to see if it's available in their location that they ask. So here we're going to say, okay, what's the product you're looking for? And we're going to draw on that super nifty capture step that I was talking about before. And the entity we're trying to capture here is obviously the product entity, right? I'm going to use that in our journey. And then after we ask for the product, that's when we're going to ask for the location. Product, okay. And what's your location? What's your suburb? Zip code, sorry. We're in America. And what's your zip code? I'll use it to see what's available for delivery and in store.
Oh, I love how you tell them how you're using it.
Yeah, that's important because they got to know.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
It's essential information to get to task completion.
That's right. That's right. So here, we're going to say location, capture that location entity. Cool. So with all these 4 different scenarios here, they're just variations of these 2 things, right? We're either capturing the product or the location, all or none. So here, if only product but no location was mentioned, so that would probably go straight to here. So we got the product already. We just need to ask for the location. If only location was mentioned, so then we got to ask for the product. And I don't like things going crosswire in my designs. I don't know if you noticed, but everything has to be really neat and tidy. But that's why something like actions is really good. If only location is mentioned, because we can just ask for it straight for the product. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna do this.
Hala, we are opposites in that. I'm a total chaos monster on it. So once actions was introduced, I was like, okay, this is a little better.
Yeah, it made life a lot easier with that.
But I find stakeholders when they're looking at it like to see the lines, not some of the chaos ones, but like if I clean it up for stakeholders, it's like, okay, you know, the lines are useful for them.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? There we go. So here we're asking for the product. And if product plus location is mentioned, so here I'll go to the end goal of, okay, sorry, sure, here's what I found for, and I'm gonna repeat that product back to the customer to ensure that I've understood that they're asking for a certain product for in your area. And then I'd maybe have like a sort of card to be like, or some sort of image or a carousel card. Let's go with actually carousel. So here I would flick through the different stores to say, you know, Nike Melbourne has got it, Nike Sydney has got it, or break it down to a granular level. Like, you know, there's the Nike Manhattan's got it, the Nike in Brooklyn's got it, etc. So I would break it down. Or I would say, okay, Nike Brooklyn, no stock, because I think it's also important to tell customers where it is and isn't in stock as well, because they want that transparency. So, and another one, Nike Manhattan, in stock. Nike New Jersey, low stock. And I would also have like some sort of button here to say, and repeat back to their location. So whatever that postcode was, available for delivery. So you see here how I've kind of solved that problem of where customers need to understand if something's available in stock or not in their area and online just from finding a product. So yeah, I think it's a little bit more complex than track my order, but again, it's not that difficult. Just thinking about users' intent and how we can deliver that information in the best way possible. And here I would also add to the cards, I would add a button to the product page. Get info and see online or something like that, and buy.
What's really interesting, just listening through all your thought process here, I love how you talk it out and we get to see it, live and in real time. It's like, it's such a difference. I don't get the impression from that Nike interaction that they're at all thinking about intent. They're thinking more of what information do I want to give the user? And that is a different mentality than, this case where we're thinking, okay, what does it mean to track your order? What does it mean? What do they want? And what should we deliver to them to help them satisfy that task? It's such a different mindset than kind of this. It's almost like, Nike had the push mindset where it's like, well, here's what we can tell them. That's it. Right. And we saw how limiting that can be because they didn't think ahead to think about their top shoe, right? That customers might actually want to know about that. So it's really cool to hear you again reiterating that. What is the user's intent?
Yeah, that's it. Do you guys have any questions, by the way, about how I've designed this, or how even some feedback about how you go about it, etc.? I mean, I think that's important too. Feel free to take the stage.
I would love to hear from people in the audience, designers, kind of how you might approach it. Could you build on this? Have you done something similar to this? And what was the results?
Yeah. Like, do you guys, have you gotten many product finder journeys or track my order journeys? How integrated they are? How did you come up with the design, etc.?
Yeah,
put it in the chat.
Yeah, feel free to use the chat, the Q&A as well. While we wait on that too, Victor dropped an interesting note about stakeholder mode, Nicolle and Ali, as you talk about lines versus no lines. That was kind of funny, talking about sometimes show lines, sometimes collapse and hide content. So there's kind of like layers of how you're showing your work, and then also all the way to prototype as well.
It's interesting because I'll find you have, I tend to show the prototype, the final thing. And I had built a brand new bot for a completely different subject, and it was all for internal showcasing. It was for an Innovation Week project. And I had stakeholders were like, well, what's going on behind the scenes? And I had never had people ask me that before. And I was like, oh boy, let me clean up the canvas first. Cause I am the opposite of Ali. Like it is a lot of lines and chaos. And so I did end up cleaning it up and deleting things and stuff like that, just so it could be presentable. And it was interesting to hear their comments as they followed along on the journey. It was almost, they want to understand what is the journey we're taking people on to get to this response. And so it was really cool to be able to have that canvas to show them, because it looks like magic if you're just on the other end, but it's not magic.
I never show stakeholders, to be honest, in the prototype mode ever. I always show them the canvas, or I often give them access to the canvas, because I think it's good for them to understand the inner workings as well, of how it should work, and also to give feedback on processes, because often stakeholders, if I'm designing for a certain team, they have more insight on how things should work technically than me. I'm just creating a solution. Obviously a great solution that's better for the user, but they understand how things actually work. So I think running them through that process, which is probably why I keep the canvas so clean, is because I need stakeholders to use it, and I put a lot of sticky notes to explain things in layperson's terms where it may seem a little bit complex. For example, with this logic thing here, I would put a sticky note to say, hey, these are the 4 scenarios in which the customer would speak to the bot, just so they have a lot of understanding. There's a few questions in here that I wanted to get to before in the wrap up in the last couple minutes. So someone asked about carousels. Super easy feature. So here, if you go to the talk thing, the talk, I guess, I don't know, feature, you can find a carousel here, and you can just enter the title of the carousel. Like I enter the store number, and you can also connect it to a variable if you really want, and you can add buttons. So super, super simple. I hope that answers your question. I'd add info about where the customer can find their order number. That's right. Yep, that's what I was thinking in Track My Order as well. That's something that I designed in personally, where if a customer says, I don't know, I usually have a button here that says, I don't know. I'm going to zoom in. Then we can give customers information, you can find in your email, etc. And if they still are having trouble, that's when maybe we'd offer them a transfer. Okay. I'm a student, recently used Voiceflow. This has been super educational for me. Great. Thank you. So someone asked about multiple variables. Daniel, how would I handle multiple variables at once? That more than 2 variables at once. So for example, here I've designed in that if a customer has given the product and location, then I guess we would go to the happy path. But I think you can't solve for all variables. For example, I never design in things like price or size or whatever, because I think there's just, the limit doesn't exist. So if the customer gives something like, I'm looking for a jumper that's XL, I wouldn't search for the XL jumper. I would just search for the jumper and say, if you're looking for more information about the product, then you can go to the product page to see if it's available. So I would tend to ignore those variables unless you're doing a super complex spot with all those things. But for me, I'm all about the 80-20 rule. Solve 80% of the problem, rather, get 80% of the audience rather than solve the whole problem. Is an entity and variable one and the same in this example? They can be. In this example, it is, but they're 2 different things. But they have a lot of different overlap. A variable can be different things in which we gather information, whereas an entity is how you scrape that information. Cool. So I don't know if we had any other questions, but we're coming to time. Sam?
Yeah. Thank you both for diving into questions. As we wrap here, and I do the wrap up, I'm just going to share a link to the prototype for anyone who wants to play with it. Obviously, as Ali mentioned, like it's not going to be fully baked logic, but I did add branding, so you can kind of see, like, even in the prototyping stage, what could that actually look like a little bit better even than the 2005 that we had joked about, let alone what would look like in production. But I think I speak for the whole chat just based on the quality of conversation. You two were phenomenal. So thank you so much for being willing to jam on this today and actually share how you design on a day-to-day basis all the way up to the top of the hour here. So we'll be doing this about every 2 weeks. So stay tuned on email. We'll send out a recording of this, all the resources, a copy of the project, and then a link to register for the next bot we're going to break. So stay tuned on that. But more than anything, Nicolle, Ali, you're brilliant designers. Thank you for giving us an insight into your mindset. And I'm sure we'll have you back in a couple months to do another bot or so. So thank you both so much.
Go break bots, everybody.
Go break bots. That's a great
and share it on Voiceflow. But if you want to get a job somewhere, don't be too damning.
Yeah. The nice breaking of the bot for the interview, right? Yeah.
Yeah, all good. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.